Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 4 of Improve with Apollo, and I am Sean Apollo Clark, of course. I've done 3 episodes so far and we've gone through Protoss, Terran and Zerg, and now we're back to Protoss, but this time we're actually going down to the Bronze League to help out the newer players within StarCraft 2 to get a better grasp of how to play this game. But before we go and analyze this game, this one we have right in front of us, let's go and take a look at the email that's been sent in here by Joakim Paulsson, a 16-year-old from Sweden, is in Bronze League as a Protoss player, and here's the description on how long he's been playing and where I can help him. I've been playing since the beginning of the summer, and I've been in Bronze ever since. Right now, I'm rank 4 in Bronze. The highest rank I've been is rank 1. I've watched literally hundreds of programs as well as your stream, and I think I'd be able to play a lot better than Bronze. But somewhere it just goes wrong versus all races, and I can't seem to figure out where. Please help, thanks. And of course, the replay attached. So let's jump back into this game and actually help him out here. His in-game name, we'll call him Ty for now, FSX Ty, we'll call him Ty. But let's go ahead and jump in. We already see an initial pylon on the front, but I also see something else before the pylon, and it's not the probe and it's not the nexus. It's the hotkey setup, and I'm going to be following this very closely here, Ty, because this is something I basically listed as #1 priority for you. If you've watched my stream, then you're gonna know that hotkeys and hotkey setup is vital. It's crucial in becoming a better player here, and that's #1 thing that I'm gonna list for you to already start to look at. For example, are you using the F1 screen location setup that I've used so often on my stream? Do you Shift F1 your main base, Shift F2 your natural, Shift F3 your third, and basically what that does. So for anybody that doesn't really know that's watching this to improve, I'm just going to pause it. If we go into the options or hotkey menu here, and to go to global and go to camera, so hotkey global camera. Then you come down here and create location 1. That is Shift F1. Location 2, Shift F2. Location 3, Shift F4. And if we come down to jump to location, F1, F2, F3, F4. And if we just return back here into the game, if you hover your main base now and go Shift F1 and control that over your main, then come to your natural, Shift F2, then all you need to do is tab F1 and F2 to jump back immediately to your main and to your natural. It's going to be easier than you scrambling around with your mouse, clicking the minimap. You lose a lot of accuracy, and you just need to be very crisp. And getting that drilled in early on is going to help you improve rapidly. Alright, so we've got a probe scout going in, seeing spawning port early on. That's not too big of a deal, but this is a bigger deal. Going for a pylon and then gateway. I'm just going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of going for a build like this. First of all, you're not really focusing too much on your economy. In a Protoss versus Zerg, no matter what league, you can pretty much get away with going pylon, forge, and then starting to create a wall off on the natural to secure your secondary base. You can go gateway expands like this, but I would of course change the building placement of it. The building placement here I think is a little bit off, where a cybercore would completely wall you in here, if I'm not mistaken. And then I much prefer you to have the pylon at the back, gateway, cybercore, then leave a space for a zealot or a probe or something to block the wall. Remember, in Protoss vs Zerg, it is all about lowering the distance or lowering the area, the coverage, the radius of where force fields need to be planted. The tighter you can make a sim city, and I say sim city is just structures walling off, the easier it becomes for you and the less force fields you'll need to use and less energy. So we have the probe being pushed away now from the natural. I wouldn't stay here too long, especially now because you're getting targeted. Just leave, you're going to lose it, take the Zelnoga tower, or maybe try and hide somewhere else. But you do lose the probe, which loses you information on the game. Your gas is very late in the main base here, I notice. For example, you've gone gateway and to a very late gas. You've got a lot of money banked up. So let's just follow you very closely on how you saved up a lot of money already. And I think it may be something to do with your hotkeys again. Because on this scouting probe that you focus on, I'm going to focus on you here, and like through your vision. Because I want to see how fast you tab between both. Because that probe has gone out and scanning is not hotkeyed. If you control that to, let's say, for example, 2, Then you can jump between 2 and F1 to come back. You have money in the bank. What are you looking at now? You're looking for your probe. I think you clicked on the minimap there. Look in the top right now, your resources, 65, 75, 80, 95, 100, 110, 120, 130. And this is because you're controlling the probe. You need to be very swift. And what you could easily do is click the probe, right-click it to go somewhere, hold shift, and then click other destinations with right click. And what that'll do is queue up commands for the probe to follow. Therefore, you wouldn't even need to follow that probe intensively. But look at the damage it's done behind here. You've stopped probe production early on, and now you come back to it, and let me guess, you're not looking at the probe anymore. And that's maybe why you end up losing that probe, is because you put it on a patrol move and then you just kind of lose it. You got probes queued up now, let's see what you do. You put it on a patrol move command, and then you come back, and it's very sloppy. I see the camera movement. What happens is you come in, and it goes a bit like this, because I think you're clicking the minimap and then trying to drag in it maybe a little bit to get into your location. Your build is not smooth. You're missing the gases on the natural, in the main base, for example, because you want to start to build up gas so you can afford the research warp gate. You want to be able to build sentries early on. So there's a lot of small mistakes here that are easily avoided through having a strict plan. And that strict plan is easily 9 pylon. And let's say, for example, the strict plan was around a gateway expand. 9 pylon, 13 gateway, 14 assimilator, cybernetic, not cybernetics core, 16 pylon. Cybernetics core as soon as the gateway is ready. Second gas after the initial zealot is made. Then, like I said, second gas. Then you can either go 1 gate and start to look for an expansion with a zealot and sentries, or throw down additional gateways and then look for the expansion if you want to play this out. But I would recommend you look for, watch on my stream, look through the VODs, look through other videos, other replays. You said you've watched hundreds and hundreds of pro level games, then write down their build of how to go forge expand. 9 pylon, 13 forge, 16 nexus, 16 pylon, and so on. These kind of things will, if you've got them written down, will help you eliminate a lot of the aimlessness that seems to be quite clearly shown in this game. The disadvantage of what you've set up here with a double pylon cybernetics core gateway is, look at this big gap here. You're actually going to be very open to a lot of lings with Zergling speed running in. Even though he may not necessarily get the Zergling speed, he could run in with just simple Zerglings, because right now you are very, very vulnerable to any form of aggression. Anything. Roaches, lings alone, anything. So have to be very careful with how you're playing out that right now, because you're playing very, very dangerously. Alright, so what is your plan now? A second gateway, alright. That's not bad. It's not bad. Especially in Bronze League, as long as you're safe all the time. I would have preferred maybe to put a pylon here and then keep a zealot wall off. If you made, because I think right now, if I was to see, that may be a pylon, like here, would cover this location, and then be a small box where a zealot would create a wall, where Zerglings cannot run around, they cannot run in, which would keep you safe against any early aggression. Remember to keep your probe production consistent. There's been a lot of times that you haven't been building probes. Remember to just go ahead and get into rhythm of a probe. A probe takes 17 in-game seconds. Don't queue them up, just get into rhythm of going on your Nexus, whatever hotkey it's on 1 at the moment, which I'm going to talk to you about after, is 1E. 17 seconds of coming round, looking, build a pylon, couple of zealots, sentry, is there anything coming? No, back, 17 seconds, 1E, come out again. Build a zealot, sentry, build another pylon, get ready to expand, back, 17 seconds, 1E, come out again, do something, and just get into rhythm. So the rhythm of your play is always going to be revolving around the probe production. So basically, if you think about it, you go 1E, 17 seconds of do whatever you want to do, come back, 1E. 17 seconds of do whatever you want to do, come back, 1E. 17, and you get into rhythm of this. And once you get into rhythm of this, you will never miss pro production. It's something very simple and that you'll mentally map out. It's not like you have to count to 17. The better you become at it, maybe you'll start off by going 1E, coming back, oh crap, it's not ready yet, or 1E, oh crap, it's too late, I didn't actually build the probe. Until you get it down with experience and just lots and lots of games, you'll start to, it'll be like a muscle memory. It'll be like, all right, it's time. My fingers are telling me it's time to go back. It's 17 seconds and so on. And you just get into rhythm again. Looking over here now, we've got the robot coming down. We have pylon on the high ground. I probably recommend you building a pylon on the low ground here and starting to create a wall off with structures again. Whether it be the robot, you can throw the robot in there if it's, you know, you just need some wall off. A forge would be a great example of an initial wall off. A pylon and a forge, you could even leave that as that and just have a 1 sentry wall off, 1 force wall off. Because right now, again, if 50 lings come at you, which at this stage of the game is easily able to happen, then you're going to die because they just surround you. You've only got 2 force fields at the moment, I think. 3 force fields, excuse me. And you're just going to get overrun here. It doesn't matter. You can force field 1, 2, 3. Then as soon as they're down, he's going to run over you. Moving out like this is dangerous yet possible. With your moving out like this, let me talk about the advantages and disadvantages once again. The advantages of moving out like this, if he does have control of the Zellnoga towers, you're going to force him to build a lot of units in terms of he's going to be defensive. The downside of this is you have 0 scanning information. You don't know if he's even taken the natural. You don't know if he's taken a third. What happens if he has a massive roach-ling attack and you just walked down and committed suicide with all these units? So that's a pretty big downer, I suppose you could say. Especially because you're not even set up. You opened yourself up very much so to counterattacks as well. So moving out like this, I mean, he runs in with lings now, you're going to lose all your probes. So there's so many holes in your play now that you need to be wary about. Like I said, start walling off and maybe leave a zealot to create that wall off so you're not open to counterattacks. You come in now and you put a bit of pressure on. And you can't do anything anyway. I mean, you're going to have to run back, which you're going to have to do. The observer's there, which you, to be honest, should have just waited to get the observer there to find out whether he has a third, whether he has a main natural or anything. It does make things a little bit easier for you. Pro production is not consistent again. I'm going to open up the production text. I think it's very valuable in this game. Your probes are at 36. At 9 minutes 30 here, you're missing about 15 probes almost already. So this is something that has to be consistent. And let's talk now about your hotkey setup. Your hotkey setup needs a complete whitewash, and when I mean hotkey setup, I mean these hotkeys that would be represented up here. For example, if we click on your opponent here, he has 1, 4, and 5. You just have 1, and I don't even think you're actually using 1. I mean, Ty, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you're even using that 1. Not at all. I think you're using everything on the mouse. What you want to do is revamp your entire setup of hotkeys. For example, I think 1 is almost uncomfortable for a lot of people to have the Nexus on, and the people that do have the Nexus on 1 are usually in form of bad habit. 1 is usually, and 2 and 3, going to be left for space for units. So you can have 1, 2, and 3 as units. So you could have your main army on 1, maybe your Colossus, which is in the main army, on 2, and maybe a special unit on 3. Or your main army on 1, a special unit on 2, such as Storm, and then a super special unit on 3, such as a Warp Prism. Or an Observer, an additional unit. So I truly believe this will help you out a lot. So right now, I know you're listening to this. I hope you're listening to this. Cancel out your hotkey setup. Go 1, 2, 3, Sparrows unit. Put 4 as your Nexus and hotkey both the Nexus like this and control 4. And then have the Nexus so you'll have 4 EE to build 2 probes. 17 seconds, 4 EE. On 5, have the robotics facility so you can build an Observer, an Immortal, Colossus easily. And then with the usage of the F1, F2, F3, F4, you're going to be able to cycle between bases really, really easily. These gateways, you may be looking to hide them, but to be honest, it's better off to show them and have them at the front here. There's no need to hide anything at this level of game. You're not playing mind games with anybody, because at Bronze League and Silver League, everybody's playing their own game. You're playing your own game. He's playing his own game. You're not scouting to him. He's not scouting to you. So there's no mind games in here. Just throw the gateways in visible sight and get ready to wall off. I mean, why are you throwing additional gateways down? Are you looking to attack here? What are you doing? You know, what have you seen that's made you throw additional gateways down? Is it because he had units out? Is it because you saw no layer? You know, what things are helping you out here? Alright, so let's have a look at your engagements. To be honest, with the amount of zealots you have, and the amount of warpings you do not have, but will have, maybe you shouldn't be holding off. Maybe you should be force fielding behind and letting the Zealots get in there. Because now you're actually hurting your Zealots. Look. Your Zealots have done nothing. And to be honest, I think you could have force filled behind and maybe got in there with the Zealots while continuing to warp in Zealots as well. But now you're in a bit of a pickle. You do not have any wall off. You do not have any cannons. You're going to lose all these units and you could potentially just lose the game. So you're in a bit of trouble already. Your gateways aren't coming in. You're obviously not building probes or doing anything else that's going to really help you because you're just focused on this. And this is all through bad force fields, lack of economy that didn't really grant you the units you need at 11 minutes in the game, and no wall off and no cannons to help against this kind of stuff. Because in the early stages, Protoss is incredibly weak. They have just force fields to try to keep them from dying. They are weak. That's what force field helps you, is to survive. But when you don't have a wall off like this, it makes it incredibly difficult to actually survive against attacks like this. Roachling alone, and without force field, you get surrounded and you're dead. You need to control the game, and that's going to be consistent throughout your entire improvement, going up to Silver League, Gold League. It's always going to be about controlling the crowd, controlling the fight and the Zerg army. But you are now teching up, chrono boosting into the probe to get units back. You need sentries again. Those Zealots, I mean, it's difficult because, I mean, I could say build sentries, but, you know, sentries would go 1, 2, 3 force field, and then as soon as the force fields are down, you're going to lose again because you don't have any defense set up through a forge, through a cannon here, creating a wall off, and you're going to take a lot of damage again, unfortunately. Obviously, Colossus and Immortal will help you out here, but this is building placement that's really bringing you down. So let's just fast forward a little bit to get past this. You do survive, and you're going to start building Colossus. You're not too active with this Observer. What is this Observer giving you? That yes, he's at layer, but you don't really know what he's at layer for. Does he have a Spire, Infestation Pit, Double Evolution Chamber? You know, okay, so that kind of got answered there automatically, but you kind of, you don't have too much information gathered in this game. Alright, so there's been a lot of mistakes in this game, which obviously should be ironed out now. A force field now, like, you know, before the roaches even come up, would have saved you a lot there. But do you know what? Let's have a look what you're looking at here. And I think I'm going to very easily identify why you didn't force field. Alright, so let's... Okay. Okay, then there's no reason for you not to force field. I thought you may have been looking somewhere else. There's no reason not to be hitting F here. But to what it could have been, what were you actually... did you have everything clicked up there? Because I know you don't have your hotkeys. You don't have your units on a hotkey. Yeah, so there's no reason for you not to miss a force field here. You've got everything there. It's F on the keyboard if you didn't know what the hotkey is for it. But, you know, a little bit crazy force fields, lose the Colossus, and that's probably going to be the end of you, no matter what, with the third base coming down. But at this stage of the game, a lot of what we're seeing now being played out becomes invalid. And the reason why it's invalid is because there's been so many different mistakes that I hopefully have lined out for you that you can improve on, that you'll never even experience this, what we're seeing right now, ever again. So hopefully that can help you out a lot. So to go through them again, what you need to be focusing on here to improve your game to get out of Bronze League is, number 1, screen locations. Use them. Number 2, is going to be hotkey setup. Make sure to do the hotkey setup. If you don't know all the hotkeys for building units and for abilities such as Force Field and Guardian Shield, make sure you know them. F for Force Field, G for Guardian Shield, and so on. A for attack move. Just all these simple stuff. Make sure you know them all. Make sure you know all the hotkeys to build units. Z for Zealot, S for Stalker, C for Colossus, E for Sentry, E for Probe. If you don't use this setup and use a grid system, then it's going to be quite simple. It's just going to be Q, U, E, A, S, D, which is very easily... that might even be something you want to use initially on, because it is very simple to use. Other things to focus on here is having a plan, okay? Your plan should be Forge Expand every game, or Gateway Expand, creating small wall-offs that are going to emphasize the use of Force Field here to protect you against the Swarm. Other things to note is scout with the Observer rather than units moving across the map, and really focus on the fundamentals of playing StarCraft. you know, like I said, hotkeys, pro production, macro, army building, making sure you're rising up in army supply as fast as possible. Because in Bronze League, you could play 2 base, and you don't even need to think about taking a 3rd base. Just play 2 base, build a big army up, make sure you're not open to counterattacks, and as Protoss, probably just walk across the map and kill your opponent, because they're going to be struggling too. But make sure as well to, I think you did say you watched the Protoss tutorials, make sure to go through them again. Even on the previous episode, I walked through a lot of basic stuff there. Make sure to watch my stream. Make sure to keep on watching the Improve with Apollo series, and take note to what I hopefully have helped you out with here today, and you could be improving pretty fast. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, Ty, and everybody else that has tuned in for this as well, and I hope that this is going to improve a lot of Bronze League players, help a lot of new players into the game as well. But it's been a pleasure. Excuse me. And until next time, guys, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, ApolloSC2. And episode number 5 is only going to be around the corner. So I'll see you soon.